Not me, it wasn't me.
Yes, if your green button's not on, turn it on.
Green
Or
one?
press
Turn the
turn.
white one, then it'll turn green.
Oh.
All right. Quorum being present, I call the September 9th, 2019 meeting of the Ordinance Review Committee to order. The first order of business is the August 26th minutes. You're the only one who can do it, really.
I make a motion, we accept the minutes from August 26th?
I can second that.
All right.
Any comments, corrections?
They looked good to me when I read them.
All those in favor?
All right.
Just so you know, normally if you're not at a meeting, you can abstain from approving the minutes. However, if you've read them, I think you can vote for them.
I don't think he's read it.
Have you read them?
He said I overheard, so he's keeping up. All right, we are on the shoreline ordinance draft. I don't even want to give it a number, but because we've been on it forever. And part of my notes were Appendix B on page 51 of my And Chris, if you don't know, how would you like to be called? Chris. The shoreline zone is everything 250 feet inland from the high water mark of saltwater brook. So everything in that jurisdiction falls under the shoreline zoning ordinance. The laws get very particular. Matter of fact, they almost tell you you can't do much within 75 feet of salt water and 100 feet of fresh water. So if you're on a lake, it's a 100-foot setback. If you're on the river, most of our land is salt, is 75-foot setback. Doesn't mean you can't do anything, it just means you very restricted. For instance, a cottage or house that's within 75 feet, that part that's within, only that part that's within 75 feet can only be expanded a certain percentage. And it can't be made any more non-conforming, which is often something that's like, I would do one without doing the other, but which means they can't do it or something. So we are dealing at the moment with the Appendix B, Village Waterfront District. And we're questioning why it's even did you come up with an answer?
Yes, I did.
Appendix?
All right. If you go back to page 10, I went through the ordinance as it was, and there's a brief descriptions of each area, but then there are additional standards, limitations, and uses that aren't in this part.
It could probably be moved up to there, incorporated. I just wonder if it was appendix stuff. But
Well, the thing is, if you look on page, say, 57,
when we get there,
and 56, you see, you're gonna get lost.
we will. Because you're getting into that, special zone.
So it seemed like it was easier to do it this way and keep everything, the basics of everything, and then where there are differences.
We'll see. We'll see. Alright, so these are things that basically the town has voted in, the state is not terribly interested in. They may be.
They'll be interested in the whole thing.
Well, eventually they have to approve that. By the way, Chris, the procedure is especially since this is a shoreline, is we come up with a final draft. We send it to the select board for their review and comment. If they, let's just say they like it the way it is, chances are they'll send it back for some review. Then they would technically schedule a public hearing, but the planning board would think it's very convoluted in this area. The planning board runs those kind of public hearings. Then it would go to, it might be revised after that, but then it goes eventually to select board puts it on the agenda for town meeting. Vote. If it's approved, then we send it to the commissioner at DEP for approval. Now, in reality, they'll have sent it up to try to get pre-approval. That's it's not wasting time.
Right.
By voting, if they're gonna say you can't have this. That's,
So then there won't be time to do it by November then?
oh, God, no, next year.
Okay.
Maybe next June.
You and I can.
We've missed so many Novembers that it's like, wait, we want to do it for presidential election for maximum turnout.
Oh, is there a limit on their time to get this in order for the state?
No.
We've been out of compliance for so long.
Right.
They haven't set a time.
I don't think the state has even seen this current version.
No, there's no record that I can see that
No.
it makes sense to them.
So,
Which technically it's not valid because they have to
Right.
be approved within
so,
90 days.
but,
But anyway, all right. So,
So 51 we're on?
yep, back to 15.
So I did actually read through to, I don't know how far I got, I did read through. I want to, according to clustered housing was one thing I wanted to ask about. Clustered housing is not the same as multifamily residential, then, is it?
No, it's not.
Okay. Clustered housing is just a bunch of houses all together, like,
well, usually it's in a subdivision, and if you need 2 acres
right?
for each house, you can put 5 houses on 10 acres, but you can put them all together, and then have the rest of the 10 acres is common land or.
Oh, so they don't each have 2 acres.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. It's a kind of a blend and almost into a condominium idea, but.
Right, right.
But what it is, and a good, well, it's actually a hybrid. Clark's Point is a hybrid because some of the lots can be owned by themselves. But the majority that are already been approved and will be approved that are, say, are you familiar with that area?
Yeah, I went up there. No, it's really nice.
So you get up on the hill where the stockpile is and below there down the van, right? So there's quite a bit are already approved in there. They're on like 30,000, 35,000, 40, 35,000 square foot lots.
Yeah,
But
no,
there's 200 plus acres and half of that will never be developed, so if this lot only has 30,000 and it needs an acre, then technically the other is part of this reserve land that everybody gets to use.
yeah, no, I thought it was really sharp down there. I was impressed. I went up there a couple times. So I'm working here and there.
The point of it, I think, is to save the developer, first of all, a lot of money for doing the streets, you know, because around 10 acres, they can do it in a short period of, in a small period of time, and then also with the utilities, it's cheaper.
I asked Sherry about the lots because like, they want you to do the whole package. You buy a lot, they want you to buy a house. I was like, I'd buy one of those lots and sit on it for a while and maybe flip it later. They want you to
They've
do
been
that.
sitting on for a long
I know,
time.
it's just such a nice spot, you know.
Yeah.
If
That
that,
clubhouse and that dock by
if
the
that hill
bridge.
was located in West Bath, of Brunswick, it would be gone 30 days after it went on the market.
Oh, yeah, no, it's something else.
And the builder would be cranking those houses out about every 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But,
It's quite a
it's not-
spot.
It's in Wiscasset, it's fairly, not accessible, remote for it.
Just,
All right, so the minimum lot size for residential, that we're talking about now, for the village waterfront district, this is a very narrow band.
yeah. Right here.
Basically includes the sewer, treatment plant,
Green is the village waterfront. That's what I got about.
down past the yacht club to Castle Tucker, without opening it up. Yep, well, it doesn't include Castle Tucker. There isn't a whole lot of undeveloped area in there. I don't know if there's any technically. I think the only undeveloped area in there that isn't town-owned is the teeny lots between the roads and the railroad track and the water. There we go.
There's a typo here, the minimum frontage there should be right after B.
Oh,
Where?
you mean it's,
You see, See,
Oh, they've been,
A is minimum lot size. On
Yeah.
page 52.
Yeah, I see. Justification happened. Somehow your justification went,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, it should just be done lower.
No, B should be minimum frontage, it just got pushed over
It should
there.
be
Oh,
way
I
up
see.
there.
And the same thing with
It's
C.
an A.
I just noticed
Now these, like I said, have all been voted in before. Does anybody have any comments, complaints, improvements? We'll just take them to, we will take the entire section for the change.
I read right through the whole thing. The only thing I noticed was, I believe, according to this, 53, following the use of the exempt noise requirements between 7 and 8 p.m.
Yeah, construction,
I think that the whole MDOT project breaks the noise rules.
yeah,
I
sure
mean, that's
does.
what they probably, that's what I think it's doing, that's all.
Yes, who considers themselves exempt
I
from
know,
the
I
ordinances?
know. That's the only thing I could find on all
On
that.
the other hand, it's the contractor.
Right. I think that
Sure,
whole-
people would like to complain, yeah.
Oh, they do.
I'm sure they do.
Keeps us awake all night.
Yeah. And of course, we, for those who haven't been around, we actually had some experts come in, or an expert on sound. Technically, it can't be the app that we all can download and put on that says it's 80 decibels. It has to be a certified, calibrated sound device.
And you have to have a certified sound
Yeah, the operator.
device operator.
Yeah, right. He must be authorized to push the button. And thus, and of course, it's not a police thing, so it gets rid of it. They might say, please be quiet, but.
Yeah, I didn't see anything all the way to C. I didn't see anything after that, because then it got real dense
Yeah.
with the surveying stuff, like on page 56.
Make a change in zoning, that's the problem.
What?
I'm skipping down, so.
That's really hard to proofread.
I just copied it, so. Except I didn't go through and change all
All right,
those
that is the,
degrees.
yeah, it's a special setback area. Well, Sterling Business 2, the marine overlay is Mason Station.
Okay.
And technically, the marine overlay is in what? I have to have the zoning now. A little zoning not like, I'm not in here. That's taking
And I
my,
think we want to bring
I'll make sure I'm correct. Marine residential colors, marine overlay. Marine overlay is the eastern shore of Birch Point, basically. And shoreline, and this sign is Mason Station. Quote the official stuff.
your big discussion.
Oh,
I was saying.
excellent, most excellent. I'm not looking around for something moving.
Carl makes all these maps too.
I have a lot of them, not that one's nothing.
This brown, right? Brown, very
Okay. So, let's see.
No, green. Shoreline Business 2, Marine over that, so it's this up here. All the Birch Point, Mason Station stuff.
Alright. It has not much to do with, tonight. But we will have an application for planning board, which 3 of us want. And parking is at least a concern. And this says quite clearly, Section 6.83, minimum parking space requirements shall not apply.
Where are you?
Well, on page 55, top D 8.00,
Okay.
applicability site plan review. Now, I know that there's a person in town, merchant in town, who believes the wording is a little fuzzy enough in there as to make, not sure that's clear. That's perfectly clear to me. Absolutely perfectly clear. So,
Just map here. So this person, I believe that was in the audience, wants to do something, this says they don't, minimum parking do
right,
not apply there.
we will be reviewing that, but we're not gonna review it right now. 'Cause
Right.
I mean, that's an area we gotta remember where it's hidden away.
Page 55.
We don't want to turn around and change in one place and say, whoops, the overlay is, of which the entire zone is falls on.
I remember discussing this when this part was written.
So do I.
And I think I mentioned that to Marion when they were discussing the parking for that apartment building that's over there by Sarah's. And I said, there, she disagreed with me. But
She thought there should be, or.
she said there is, they have parking requirements for that.
That seems pretty clear.
Right. She didn't
No
know.
parking requirements in the marine overlay.
Right.
No.
And the fact is that the
I mean, village waterfront.
village waterfront, and to all intents and purposes, the village waterfront is all within the marine overlay zone. Anyway, I mean, the shoreline zone overlay. Right, Appendix C, the shoreline business 2 and marine overlay districts. Again, this is Mason Station.
What is going on with that place anyway? Is there anything, I mean, that one guy talked about something a while ago, pay your taxes and we'll talk about it with the guy who owns it.
Well, it is my understanding that we own everything except the plant building itself. And that I'm not too sure about anymore, because it's been years.
He's got a new Cotter in it.
I'm not sure about that either because they did stop people from taking materials or
It's still
equipment.
sitting there.
Well, people go in and out of there. I know they do. And they pumped all that water out of it. Remember they asked permission to pump the water into the river or through the sewage treatment plant? They turned them down. They said to get Harbors or Maine to come get it or something. That was over the winter. There's all this standing water in there.
So it was subdivided, and basically it was approved as part of the Mason Station, the plant, the Birch Point plant. And so the town inherited that. And then the developer built 2 spec houses.
I meant the actual building, I guess.
I'm not sure about
The
that.
town doesn't own that. The
I
actual
don't
building.
know if we own it yet, or if Cotter still owns it.
I believe
Maybe, what he may dispute if we said we did own it.
All right.
there's a whole
Yeah,
bunch
if you
of,
wanna make an offer, go for it.
No, I was just wondering. It's just,
there's the tax. I remember when I saw this meeting, they had all the tax acquired properties. They had a whole bunch of Mason Station properties that are in foreclosure, but they had not taken.
I thought that guy paid the back taxes on that
It
building.
did not, well, maybe on that building, I know.
Right, but the rest of it's
Some of it.
separate, right?
Yeah, I can't keep track,
I don't know.
all this, I just figured, there's no way I would know whether this was right or wrong on page 56.
Yeah, that's what I
Well,
said.
other than your computers decided to put rectangles in instead of the degree symbol.
Oh, I thought that was.
I thought that.
that was-
Circles
it
instead of
was right.
squares.
Yeah, circles instead of squares. That's all right. I get paralegals that'll read that back as south 86 degrees, 44 minutes, and 4 feet and 44 inches. And I just cringe because they're supposed to know the difference. This all goes back to an existing plan that is a special plan.
See, the original has the squares.
I just think you're right.
No, I know. It wasn't my computer that did it, I'm just saying, that's what it came out.
And believe me, it is in my world, we do this, that's, yeah, all the time.
I can go through and put
Very strange characters.
degrees, signs, or whatever it is.
Software. One format that even my CAD program will allow me to do is instead of using the symbol, which is often, is write out degrees.
Mhm. Oh,
And I've gone to, yeah, that's probably not a bad idea. and to write out, south, okay, yeah, without the map up and open, we're just gonna have to presume after all these years it's still correct.
You don't wanna check that out?
Feel free, I don't wanna do it right now.
he'd be the only one to be able to.
I know, that's what I do, I was like, and then I got to the definitions, I was like, well, this is getting easier all the time. Run through these.
And of course, that squares instead of degree symbols continues into the impervious area. So definitions, we can skip right up to.
Dimensional requirements on 61, huh?
If anybody wants to play around with the definitions, and they again approved forest as special district.
I read them, I didn't see anything, I mean, I don't,
In my opinion, the town should void out the subdivision and then redivide the land as they need it when they need it. That was a problem with, what's the technology? German.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, it was originally at the airport. They bought those two buildings. They wanted to buy the other building that's freestanding down there. But it was like, well, yeah, except that building was supposed to have been torn down. It's over the lot lines. You'll have to get a lot line adjustment,
at the airport, you said?
No, down at Mason Station.
Oh.
They didn't want to do that. I mean, paper pushing, but. All right, dimensional requirements.
Yeah, 61.
So there's no minimum lot frontage, little jumpy.
This is all still Mason Station, shoreline business, right over there.
Yeah, no minimum lot size, no minimum frontage, none required from setbacks. When we went for the sidewalk, I can remember Debbie Pooler saying it goes together, and I said, yes, you'll have no problem holding your coffee cup out and saying, can I have a spoonful of sugar? To the person next door, no problem at all. Then the setback, roads, basically there's nothing.
So, what's that thing called we worked on when I first started? That whole piece of land they would like to develop, the townhomes, what's that thing called?
The planned unit development?
Yes. Is that within the,
No, that is a separate area.
and what is that in?
We'll be getting there.
What's that?
We'll get there.
Oh, okay, planned unit
I
development.
think we get there.
Right, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's about as far as I got.
Basically, Chris, that's the former Maine Yankee properties.
Right.
They are separated by roads, so technically we could easily break it into units, but if you think of everything from, except the houses along Birch Point Road, from one, to turn around to technically one, it's all 144 technically, but that field and those woods down the river, so that's supposed to be developed as a single track. So we had the battery, the water battery, i.e. the underwater deep pit,
oh,
and
right.
that was a,
Oh, the cement people.
cement people. And there was something else, chemicals of some kind?
I don't remember.
Nobody ever got as far as a full application.
No.
Enough
We went
to,
through the
enough
whole thing,
to,
all the uses just like this, I remember
Yeah,
doing
we're gonna
all
put
that.
that,
and all of those things would have been allowed if they just had to go through the hoops, but,
No abattoirs, so. I remember
but,
that.
the idea of digging a 2,000-foot deep hole in Maine. fact, because of formatting, every time we jump over, we have to,
Yeah, I think the G goes back.
and I have no idea about it. That's beyond me when you start formatting into G's and I's and sub numbers.
And Robinettes.
Well, that first one on the shoreline about the existing Mason station is kind of a rude way of saying you can't make it any taller.
Right.
But that's what it says. N2 is the microwave tower, specifically. Central main power microwave communications tower. Or however the technology is with that great big tower. Ooh, yes. Apparently, we could build a commercial building there, 75 feet
Yeah, I just
tall,
saw that.
which is 35 feet taller than anything we have. The reason you'll frequently see Chris 35 is that is about as big as a fire truck as anybody buys around here. So you don't want a building that you can't get on top of. But apparently in this district we could, and we'd have to go buy a fire truck. Or however you get that high.
I don't know what to think it was tonight,
Oh, remember, they were bringing great prosperity to the town. I'm curious about how, if there's any habitable structures within the marine overlay district. Maybe some houseboat that's 40 feet tall. But anyway.
Doesn't seem right, it should be 40 feet.
Yes, it's on obviously 40 feet in height. But as far as I know, marine overlay district is only water. So habitation on the water is a houseboat, isn't it?
I guess.
We'll send it over there.
Yeah, there you can't plant a houseboat. It's up on someone's house in Edgecombe, right?
Right.
But here we could.
I don't think so.
No.
I think I
I don't know how they could stand up in court. If I was in a river and I anchored my
We even
boat.
have
I copied
that
it.
zone.
I copied the Edgecombe ordinance, so I think you can't have those floating houses.
That's discrimination.
I just think that'd be so hard to enforce anything
Yeah.
like that, you know? If you're right up in their yard, you're practically, you know, like those seaweed guys. But if you were out in the river,
I
that's all.
can't do the seaweed anymore.
Right, but you know what I mean. So if you were that close.
Well, that was their argument. They weren't technically, since they were in the intertidal zone, they were
Right.
technically be there.
Okay, then that brings it to, if you own the intertidal zone, then that should I know when you find out your land is smaller than you thought it was, through resurveying, you don't pay less taxes because they nipped 4 feet off your property.
You might not.
But now, if the intertidal zone is your land, should you be taxed on that mud flat that nobody else can go on if you're calling it your land? Yeah, right. Just saying, it's gotta go both ways, right? Then you could charge people to be out there.
Yeah, usually you can't have it both ways. Well, and to me, one of the classics is the original lots on Pembroke Point. You're talking the older lots, right, down around the lane house in there. Is absolutely crystal clear from the plan. They do not go to water. That's all common land.
Right.
We're not talking about high water mark. They don't go anywhere near that. They're back on the ledges. It's quite, most of that long open ledge is common property, at least of the lot owners. So how do you get, are you taxed for, quote, shorefront? Well, clearly it says you don't own shorefront, you have short view.
Right.
So, but on the other hand, what are you supposed to do? It's not like you're going swimming off those ledges unless you're a nut.
Right, right.
extreme sports enthusiasts.
Same at Ocean Point, they've got water that you think you'd be able to walk around, ledge and stuff, they've got it all posted off. Someone was complaining that it's not really private land. It can't be, because it's below the high water mark.
Yeah.
But people put signs out there, they don't want people obviously clambering around on
But
it.
we in Massachusetts, and then it varies, but 3 other coastal states have the concept of private ownership to the water. None of the rest of the countries, the states that have that, it's public property, it's all public property.
Yeah, they shut that down in Michigan too.
So Hawaii, California, that's all. There isn't a mansion supposedly in California, but you can't walk, quote, in front of. Now, there may be a cliff,
Right.
and you get that much sand for a couple minutes at low tide, but
Right.
technically, are they fighting it? Oh yeah, there's a big suit in California where they're trying to stop them. And there is, it's in the law court, they haven't issued a final, but it was like, wow, they discovered the original deeds. Doesn't apply to every town, only applies to the Kennebunkport case. They found the original grant was clearly of the upland, clearly. So the town owns the public land, owns all shorefronts. Seems like, because the court hasn't made a final decision, but they've given a couple of things out, basically telling one side, if you don't stop it, we'll award all costs to the other side. You'll have to pay for everything. But it seems like they're gonna go with, we're not gonna upset the apple cart of almost 300 years, upon the ordinance of 16, whatever it was. That said, you can own it by saying, yeah, but this happened in this one case. So, and I had a friend who asked me to do a review of his analysis on Wiscasset Point, and it was much the same. It's interesting to get back in, especially into, you have to understand that the Indian Wars and the first settlements pushed out, wiped out. Some of the settlers came back, others did not. Those who came back, everything's wiped out. Housing, and never mind boundary markers and stuff. And so there were special commissions set up to reaffirm their claims. The records went too, for the most part. And that's where we're at with this one. And it's like, okay, those words are normally, words that are inclusion, but then they use these other words that make it sound like it's definitely exclusion, talking about, again, between high water and flow. It's like, okay, this last piece of information you've given me says they don't want the first ones. I said, yes, they do want it based on this wording, but wording from this committee to confirm, and it's not their title, but to confirm the titles of those who came back. Because it was necessary for those who didn't come back to void out their titles and give new titles to the property.
Right.
I really don't like how it changes things, but I guess we're not going to play around with the district as long as we have it. That's the other thing to do away with it, create easy to use district. General land use standards. The A is a standard requirement from the federal government.
One foot.
Yeah. Some towns make that too. Some towns have made that too.
Yeah.
And there'll be even more coming out of the federal government because of all the flooding. So it's like, they pointed out the other night on the news in the Bahamas. Here's a building that was built after whatever date it has to be built to stay on category 4. Now they were hit with the category 5, so it's suffered serious damage, but at least it's a building surrounded by wood, piled up, smashed houses.
Yeah, that really sucks down there.
That place needs a fleet of D9 bulldozers. I don't know, but
Yeah.
what do you do with it? Do you do with all that debris? I don't know what to do with those FEMA trailers that could hugely park them in the west. We saw my trip, we saw abandoned and just kind of not laid out anymore, but first generation oil drillers with homes, you know, the company builds barracks. The first generations have now been abandoned, and the new ones are they're still exactly what they are. They're trailers with 2 units in each trailer, but more laid out. But we saw this one field where there were literally hundreds of these trailers, and they were, you know, all angles, and a couple were on top of each other. And they're just scrap now. We want to talk about having problems. Which town was it? Was it Williston or the town next to Williston? They went from a town of 80 to a town of 190 in 2 years. And then they dropped back to 60.
Where is this?
In the Balkan oil fields, in our case, in Dakota, so north.
80,000, you mean?
80,000 people.
Correct.
Yeah, they started out as before the oil, about 80,000. Then in 2 years, they jumped up more than double. And then 2 years after that, when basically the workers had moved on, they dropped to 20,000 less than they were at the beginning. Yeah, it's like.
I knew a few people that left Michigan during the recession and went out there.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And most of them came back within a year or two. They couldn't, I mean, the pay was good, but the prices of everything, there was no place to live. And the food costs were doubled, everything was like so high that it didn't make any difference. If you owned a home already, you were good, but if you had to rent.
It didn't matter in this town, boy, they were hopping.
Yeah, oh yeah, they said it just was,
But it was in the
everything was too much.
But they apparently, you know, like I said, these first generation dwelling complexes were gone. Now they were building 40, 50, we'll call them trailers, that's what they were. And they had, you could tell they had 2 doors, 2 major entrances, so 2 apartments or units in each one, and there were like 40 on it. They built a pad just like they would for their oil drilling rig, and put these up, and then they'd build another pad, build another one. And they all had heat pumps. The only time I saw heat pumps. All the houses I saw out west, I didn't see much solar, except a few wind farms, but on a personal level, no wind power, very little solar on a personal level. But no heat pumps. Yeah, it was oil company. That thing was a long way to a Toyota dealership. Right?
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
A Ford dealer was a dime a dozen, but
Right.
a Toyota dealer was all over.
Yeah.
It was 70 miles away on Friday night. Yeah, general use standards.
Oh, I did find something on 64 here. Yeah. What did I? Oh, I guess I just pointed to it because it's kind of too bad. E and F about no new structures shall be built on abutting a pier, wharf, dock, or structure. This is only an end spot. This is, you know, that'd be the perfect spot for a Mason station for building something over the water. You know what I mean? I don't know. I mean, people vote on it, but it just seems like if you want to develop an area and have some sort of wharf and, you know, hotels or something like, you could have the tugboat in or anything like that, that's out over the water, you know.
Yeah.
Guess what? We could probably change it if we had to.
Somebody really wanted to do it, get it changed.
Okay, then you run into things like emergency access and
Right.
fire trucks and everything.
This language is actually doesn't extend just this zone. It pretty much is standard, and I've always read this and go, but Kenny Bunkport. I mean, you fill in lots of things about Booth Bay Harbor,
Yes, I mean,
Camden Harbor.
It's all charming and people love it.
Belfast.
I love it.
There is nothing functionally dependent about a restaurant table. See,
Yeah.
or a restaurant. I mean, at one point, I remember the DEP said storing lobster traps is not a water dependent. Right, and I'm going, what? But what is? You know, what is a? But
I guess you could say the restaurant does require, it's a water, seafood restaurant, we do require direct access. We want to bring it fresh right up here, straight to us, you know?
Good luck.
Yeah, right.
yay, parking area should be adequately sized for the proposed use. What zone did we move into?
That's still the,
Shoreline Marine with the overlay district.
Yeah, marina overlay.
There's no in conflict with no. Doesn't that make E.6.3.0, and I hate doing it that way. Adequate size for the proposed use being in conflict or resembling the zone. This is business 2, and that one with
that was village
no
waterfront,
requirement
way
below.
back when.
Well, this is general.
General of the shoreline though, isn't it?
General land use standards, yes.
And the marine overlay district.
Well, all the, I guess it's for all the shoreline districts.
No,
No?
I think so. Now I have to go back to currently sitting, working my way back through the, and that makes a big difference for heading is under. Okay, it is for Appendix B, which has to do with, which is a different zone. What is the,
C, it shows the business 2 and green overlay.
village waterfront, okay. The shoreline business too, and I know they do have a parking requirement, yay.
Shoreline business too has a parking requirement, village waterfront doesn't.
So it's the next zone, at least downtown, it's the next zone. Gotta check certain property. The other side of the zoning boundary or there. I think I need to blow up. Oh, village waterfront. Come on, a bit more permissive zone. See the other side of the street.
On Water Street,
Her parents are have a parking requirement, but her she doesn't.
Oh,
If they wanted to do that. Yeah, I don't really, roads and driveways, it is a very small area we're talking about, but I really wouldn't want to see a driveway with 20% slope, but on the road. Because 10% is usually the maximum allowed by any subdivision. As far as I'm reading on these stuff about road, that's just cookbook. I mean, it could change slightly from town to town, but. Do we need clearing of vegetation, or does that fall under? We give up all.
no, this doesn't fall under timber.
Oh, this is not timber harvest. This is just clearing for the heck of it. Okay. I was questioning because harvesting of timber, Wiscasset decided to give that up and make it the state be the person responsible, amongst other reasons. Who's the forester? we don't know, there's no forester on staff in the town to make the judgment calls that they would have to be made. These are fairly quick work. This is if you need the, one more from one or something.
I think I took out one.
Yeah, these are in there. Erosion, sedimentation, that's all cookbook. Planning board, Chris sees, almost no shoreline zoning application.
Yeah,
We've had, what, 2 docks in the last couple of years?
Yeah, we did one when I first came on up the river here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And over on, most recently was over on, the Schrocky,
oh, right.
what's the private peninsula over that gentleman? They were that person after talking, maybe 3, because somebody else, we didn't do a site plan. As far as like new building in the shoreline zone,
We
other
have,
towns, I work in other towns. So
that's gonna be a lot.
yeah, I get at least, I've got probably 3 on my books right now that do site plans for setback purposes. And or expansions, but we don't seem to have it, so. There's that construction time period and noise. It's copied over. Ooh. This is both making you think that both site plan and subdivision need a sentence somewhere in the list. See shoreline, see shoreline overlay zone if necessary, business modifications. Potential modifications, see, there's applicable to the shoreline zone, and so it should be cross-referenced.
Yeah,
Even if it's just one of those, what we call them, if we put them in explanatory type notes, you should look at if you think you're anywhere near the line. Gee, I just got page 74, folks. Don't let me down. Planning board code enforcement officers reviewing an application subject to following provisions shall not apply. All size and setbacks, height.
So we didn't
Why
get
is
to
it
the plan
applying?
use development in here.
because we just saw that was where
I
you
know, yeah. Wow. I don't know what the date is of my first draft of this, I could go and find it, but we've reached the end of the internet, so.
Right. The big thing we have to deal with is the zones.
The zone. Admittedly. I'll take this over. I haven't got the big one anymore. I'll put it through Chris. I don't think I've got another one here. I do have another one here. Hey.
All right.
I want to try to explain that, well, I'll explain it to Chris, but.
Yeah, we were talking
You
about
did it
that
right.
when the meeting first was started, just before the meeting started, our problem with the zone. Did you end up talking to whoever you needed
I
to?
have not talked to anyone, I haven't had time.
I believe you, please.
Said I had to go find out why I was getting water on me inside my truck. Clogged roof drain.
What's that?
Clogged roof drain for the sunroof.
Oh, really?
It gave me
That
like,
dirt from North Dakota in
I
there?
started out a couple of weeks ago now, but after a rainstorm, got in the car, headed out. It's like I wet my pants because a stream of water came out of my lap. And then like next storm, instead of coming on me, it missed dead by inches, hit the center console, so. But apparently there are roof drains, little tiny roof capillaries with small holes up there that drain off and get flooded. So I have left off the color for the Village 1 district. so you know. 'Cause- So white would be actually be a color, I don't know what color it is, but just for some sort of clarity. The problem is the line, which is the limit of shoreline zoning, which is as good as we can get at the moment based on what we've been given for like a town perimeter map, which I get from the state. Is 250 feet. And as you can see, it encompasses all, most places it encompasses all of the light green, which is village waterfront, except for that little bit of corner up here at the top. Eclipse the purple magenta, which is Village 2, and seriously overlaps into the Village 1. And there's a set of uniform ordinances really for the marine overlay, and the problem I think is, I mean, what we have a problem is if it says you have to do one thing, but the village overlays, I mean, the shoreline overlay says another, I think that's a real problem. And it may be the way we have to leave it, because shoreline zoning is supposed to be an overlay, not supposed to be a zone. I don't know how you tell the difference between an overlay zone and a regular zone. It just means that in some part of that zone, other rules apply. And that may be what we end up doing. Try to ask the state, but another alternative is to change the boundary to make sure it includes it.
So how were the Village 1 and Village 2 lines determined in the first place? Was that something you guys did at some point, or this old?
You know, at this point, I don't remember who drew the lines, but yeah. I mean, the descriptions now have been around for a while. I don't remember the source of them.
Because Village 2 is separated. If we have the big map, there doesn't sound like it's contiguous, is it?
No, it does have two areas, I believe you're right.
Or to wrap around.
Well, yeah, because Village 1, according to this map, flows right out Route 1 for ways,
Right.
thus separating the two zones. Kind of in the north-south based on the highway. And then there's the real issue of there's a Village 1 zone that's basically Hooper Street down to,
Hooper Street's Village 2, isn't it?
Hooper Street is Village 2, but the corner lot, Quick Stop, and then 1, 3, 4 lots down are Village 1.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've never figured that out, but we inherited that.
I just saw this the other day too, that
Because of the commercial nature of everything.
it must be that, I never thought of it, but when you cross Route 1 on Hooper, that one block that runs next to the old dentist office must still be Hooper too, all the way to Churchill. I don't know if
Yeah, I
you're,
don't know what it is. Yeah, it might be.
I've never seen a sign that's different, you know?
Yeah.
If you were going up Hooper Street and the Quick Stop's on your left, then you cross Route 1, there's one block before you get to Churchill.
Where the dentist office.
Oh, that's.
It must still be Hooper too. My son and I were talking about that the other day. There's no sign there in the corner,
No, it's Village 2.
so I just,
And you're right, that's why it was the density of the Quick Stop down as far as that's probably the bank.
Yeah.
And then it was residential past there. That's why. And at the time, especially people didn't want to see it become commercialized. So, what will become built of, not built any of, oh shoot, down under the Berry. What will become of the Berry's land there.
was that a motel there at one time?
You know, I don't know, that is his home.
I know, I'm
And it
sure
was
that's
his
right.
father's office.
Right.
He was a doctor.
Oh.
And home, and
Right.
office. Whether it was ever a little motel, I don't know. It's certainly laid out like it could have been
Right.
on the outside, not
Yeah.
so much on the inside. But that could be just a matter of that they lived there all these years, so no, they made it more.
Right.
But yes, it's a long way from Sutherland's and that to go.
Right. Right.
Visit Chairman anytime soon. But yeah, I mean, that's that, and we have a couple pieces up there, all that crap, so it's the chainsaw store, and all those are all viable potential business lots,
Absolutely.
but basically the feeling was we didn't want businesses, and want to concentrate businesses like that. Just like if they built a bypass, it was a strong sentiment that we wouldn't be allowing any commercial development at the interchange with 27, and no gas stations, no.
Oh, and Langdon Road there, if I went through
If
there.
they had built the bypass, yeah, not that way. Oh, we never got there, so.
Right.
Total side note, I was, first I went down and saw the, bollards, I mean, to me, they're just granite posts.
Yeah, I think they're gonna put chains between them or
6 by
something.
6,
Yeah,
snowplow snap those.
that's what I know, that's the first thing
8
I
by
thought.
8, stand a chance, 6 by 6, not.
They're thinking little brick wall fell over, and they said there was too much snow leaning on it, the one that last
Oh, yeah.
winter, brand new piece of it tipped right over.
He doesn't have to hit it direct, all he has to do is be pushing a mound of
Oh, I know.
good heavy concentrated
It's
snow.
unbelievable.
It'll snap that, so it's, I don't know, which one of
It
us,
looked like a big cage.
which one of the Greeks, you know, it's, you down at the bottom, you push at the top, it's gonna break. You know,
Yeah,
if I wanna move one of my rebars and it's sticking up 14 inches, I'm gonna grab it 3 inches down the base and grab at the top.
yeah, it's strange, because they've got that weird wall.
Yeah, I can't wait to see how this all goes
Yeah, I'm
together.
trying to work those steps. in.
Yeah,
I couldn't figure that out.
and I thought they would, if they were gonna do something like that, they'd have level spots. If you wanted to put a table or anything out there, it still just slopes right
That's
down.
what I thought, what are these tables that be,
I know, you have to have custom, I just don't get it. I mean, I'm trying to stay
whatever,
with my.
so, you know what I mean, always in our hair, one side, you know. Oh, I don't know, I haven't pictured it yet, but yeah, I thought, like you, I thought this meant there'd be terraces, step down terraces.
Something, yeah.
Oh.
Trouble was, they voted for something they didn't know, they didn't have an actual picture of it. You know,
Yeah,
they said that, we'll have to get
The
it.
tables and
Right,
the flowers.
Dude,
Because we didn't show that it was until.
It's an angle.
yeah, talking
Well,
about.
water will run down. All right, I think what I see here is we get this all as printed and formatted as we can.
Mhm.
And we try to look for any errors or omissions that you make based on the notes we have.
Yeah,
And then at some point, right about then, I'll try to package it up to ask the state for preliminary review.
So we did not get to this.
but we have to figure this out, don't we?
Well, we should have to read, I'm leaning towards just leave it as an overlay.
Yeah,
Doesn't require a double vote, but we got two things going there. We got a zoning change. If we do that, we got a zoning map change to deal with. This is political. We got a zoning map change to deal with and a shoreline zoning ordinance. Well, it goes back to that whole thing we've had somewhere else. What happens if one passes and the other doesn't?
Right, but the way we've got it now, we have this written for the village waterfront, village one, village, well, I don't know where all these things are, but we will have two different standards for.
Two sets of rules for the same area. Yeah.
don't,
You have to
Right.
read, and you want to just read the more stringent.
when I asked a while ago about that planned use development, you said we get to that, is that not something we have to review?
Apparently it's not, because it's not the shoreline zone, we're not in there yet.
It's not in the shoreline, isn't it though?
Obviously, anything within 250 feet is street
Right.
river is, yeah.
Right,
So that would be a special case inside the plan unit, you'd have to obey those rules.
okay.
Thus, the water falling battery storage system would have been, and since they were talking about basically making the entire shore an inlet to a 2,000 foot deep.
Oh, that's where that was gonna go, I thought that was gonna be by the Mason Station.
Well, not for along that shore. So you'd have to think of it like a giant slit intake along that shore. Or however they were gonna do it, but that would have been the way I would have thought they'd do it.
Well, we hadn't moved out here yet,
Oh,
when they were talking about that.
alternatively, I suppose, you know, with engineering, they could have put near bottom open.
My mother-in-law thought I'd be interested in working on something. I said, I'm not working 200 feet below the river. There's no way I'm going down there.
I interviewed down in the Blue Hill area for a mine job, surveying for a mine. I got out of there and never looked back. Oh, mackerel. I thought Maine Yankee was spot with the rooms that say, you know, 5. That's the number of people who can leave this room in 30 seconds or whatever before the halogen will take all the, kill you. And fire suppression. So if there's 10 of you in that room, 5 of you ain't making it to the door, fellas.
Right.
Yeah. And maybe nobody, because everybody's going to be going. Which was actually supposed to be put more than that in that room.
So what are we doing? We're going through and checking this?
Yeah, we'll go through and check that. That was the first copy, which we'll get.
Wow.
You want to
got
copy?
there. Been a
Yeah,
long
I
time. You guys have the
Formatting, especially.
That was, we've been doing this for months.
Okay,
so-
make a-
Maybe we made them already as you go.
Some of them I made, some of the corrections I made too
Because
here.
we're now talking about the document we'll send to the select board.
Okay, you send it to me first.
Yeah, I'll send a copy of that first, yeah.
Yeah.
But-
Because I can, if I was come back and say, well, you have this date wrong.
Yeah. Okay. And
All
I
right,
think
well,
otherwise,
I will get this, I'll do all the corrections that I have and see if I can get all the formatting right.
and if we get past that, which will probably take a meeting by itself to deal with that, but if it doesn't, of the future things we were listed to do, we'll deal with, changes to subdivision first and site plan, but that should follow down what we make to one, that's probably gonna carry over to the other one.
Change in subdivision rules we're gonna do next?
We're on to tweak, we got permission to tweak subdivision rules, because there's a section that calls for Mylar on January 1.
Oh, that's right.
The registry's no longer gonna take a Mylar plan, so,
And then,
That's subdivision and site
they don't
plan.
get to change the
and
rules.
site plan review, we have to change something on that
Well,
because of the
they
Mylar.
mirror each other.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's a minor
But
change
there-
in the wording.
But if there's some tweaking, like one of my favorite ones is we're gonna get rid of, I hope we're gonna get rid of certified mail, but.
Yeah, that's right, you told me that before. And what about the parking stuff? Are we gonna get into that at some point here?
Those are technically, that's a backup zoning, and, at least one select person or someone felt we should wait on the parking issue until downtown.
Right, but at the
So,
last,
Let's take a couple meetings.
Right, okay, I just wanted to
Doesn't
know.
matter, sorry.
at the last meeting, they said that you could work on everything that was in your memo.
Oh, well, yeah.
So, and the parking was in there.
So get on it right now. And they made it, they were so funny. How long stuff takes, you know what I mean, weren't they?
Yeah,
Giving us up with the comprehensive plan and stuff.
I know, and, well,
There's a new comprehensive committee meeting?
I think
They had a meeting.
they were having one.
We were gonna have another one. I didn't make the first one. I'm trying to help with it. I haven't been to a meeting yet. Then we talked about a meeting, and we were gonna meet in Kim's classroom. And then people spoke up that they thought that was an inappropriate spot because it wasn't public. And it's like, it's just a workshop. I wanted to be in a place
Yeah.
where,
Classroom's not public?
that's what I thought. So it was pretty public to me.
School's public.
I know. But anyway, so, yeah, that meeting got canceled, and so we're waiting for the next meeting. Two or three people felt that it should be held in this room.
Background, Chris, if you don't know. Comprehensive plan, which is supposed to be the Bible of the town, and every town. It's supposed to be revised every 10 years. You know, Jackie and I worked on the original. It's year 15?
I don't
Approaching
remember.
that.
Have you guys been doing this for 15 years already?
More
More than that? Because I've been here 3 or 4.
But anyway, so a year or two ago, it was pointed out that we're supposed to update it. Things change, Yankee, whatever. We gave the example, and it's been a slow process of getting going. I said, no, the town, I've got 2 committees now, and that's
Yeah,
starting to
It
build.
looked like a lot of the stuff I read was still relevant, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
a lot of it was
Probably
still.
is, but you probably need a, I don't know, future direction type thing to find out, do they still want historic preservation, you know?
Right, I really, there are new people doing it, so I don't know that they realize What all is involved?
We'll see. I'm trying to help him. I know it hasn't come up. I just think it's an interesting project, like all the rest. You know, not always exciting, but still interesting.
Right.
You know what I mean? This stuff's interesting. I mean, you're actually doing something. You're actually solving problems,
Trying to.
right?
They're trying to do it without increasing the total number of pages. Oh.
Right.
Somebody's long ago said you can't legislate common sense. So, that's because your common sense and your common sense and my common sense don't agree with her common sense. Or have any common ground necessarily. So, all right, any further business?
Well, I do want to ask a question. I started to ask last time, but then people started crowding in. While you were on vacation, Bruce called me.
Comments.
He was curious about them selling CBD in the gas stations, CBD products. And I said, well, I don't know about that, but he said, well, now they've changed the rules, right? The state changed the law. At first you used to have to opt out, and now they made it that the town has to opt in. So if anybody wants to sell marijuana products, but that's not technically a marijuana product, it's derived from a similar plant, and not even the same plant necessarily. There are CBD flowers and there are CBD from hemp, and I did not know the flower thing.
Yeah, I knew it was available.
Way over my head.
Right, so anyway, he was concerned that I don't know if he got a complaint or what, I don't know why, and I said, I really don't know, it must be someone you can call and ask. So I didn't know if you guys had any idea about that, because they did that.
They sell it, that CBD in the medical marijuana.
Oh, they sell it at the Quick Stop, they sell it at the Clipper Mart, they sell it everywhere. There's little gummies, there's little tinctures, there's little drinks, there's all kinds of stuff. They took it off the shelves, it was on the shelves, and something they said, they took it off the shelves, and when the new administration came in, they did some quick legislation and considered it an agricultural product. They called it emergency legislation, and then they got it right back on there. So I thought as far as the state went, it was good. You know, they were good to sell that stuff, but I don't know.
I'm not aware of any town regulation having to do with CBD oil.
Right, I know, but I didn't know whether that was something that we needed to clear up in the ordinance, or if there was an ordinance,
We
or.
don't have any ordinance for marijuana.
Well, you know,
We have to
yeah.
draft a whole new one. We haven't.
I'm surprised somebody hasn't petitioned to opt for the town to opt in yet, you
That's going to
know.
be voted on at a town meeting.
Right, well, they'd have to have, someone would have to start a petition to get it on the warrant, I think, is how it works. Someone's gotta wanna do it, someone's gonna wanna open up a store, so they have to get enough signatures that it went to a vote. I believe that's how the town would do it. I'm not positive about that.
I think the town, the selectmen can just put it up for a vote.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they can.
Right,
But if somebody came along and wanted, I mean, that would force them to
right,
do something.
right. And when that guy called, again, while you were on vacation, the guy who has the store across from Big Al's, he wanted to know, this was planning board stuff actually, he wanted to know if he needed to go before the planning board to move into Simpson's old fish place. Remember it? Remember that guy?
Yeah,
I gave him your name because he talked to me, or you gave him my name, something, he called me,
no, I haven't talked to them.
can't remember what his name was. So he's the one who has that little pipe
Yes.
store there. And he was talking about moving down there, and he wanted, I said, well, you probably do have to, because it's been sitting there for so long, it's a plan use. What's that?
If he's been vacant 2 years.
Right, I think you do have to do that.
Evening.
Hi.
How are you guys?
Good.
Hey, does anybody have a key to the selectman's office?
I do.
I got one for the building, but not one for the door. I just need to sign
Oh,
something.
Yeah.
We better take his picture, maybe put his fingerprints on some scotch tape.
Sorry to interrupt you guys.
That's all right, Jeff. How you
We were
doing?
actually at a point of asking for a motion to adjourn.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm wicked glad that you're still here, because Kathy said, need your signature. Thank
Don't
you.
Yeah,
you had
okay.
an old key, didn't you?
I did, but I turned it in. They said
Oh.
that I didn't need it anymore, but I
We
guess
don't
I
need it
better.
for the outside doors, but you need it for the inside.
I'm
Do a new one.
All
All
right.
right, so, you want that motion? I make a motion, we adjourn?
Okay.
A second. All those in favor? I saw Chris saying that.
Yeah.
We're adjourned tonight, it's 6:46.
Perfect, I was gonna leave pretty soon anyway, go get cross country kids. So yeah, that's what I asked him, well, that's what I did ask that guy, was that, well, are you planning on doing that? And he goes, oh no, I'm just